April 7th.
All right. Let's declare this special meeting of the Board of Supervisors open. Roll call, Jake.
Keisha Johnner.
Here.
Mark Ramey.
Here.
Steve McCombs.
Here.
Agenda, same as yesterday.
McCombs. Steve.
You want a motion to approve the agenda first? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I just said.
Are we doing though?
Well, good question. We've got a couple of other items, Ed, other than our rolling COVID discussion. So can we say other items of county import?
I don't know what the agenda said.
We're just a rolling agenda on COVID-19 impacts.
So if this is related to COVID-19, or you can relate it back to COVID-19, then you could discuss it in open session.
Okay, I can make that connection.
Make a motion for approval of today's agenda.
Second.
McCombs.
Aye.
Ramey.
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye.
Very good. All right. Steve, Keisha, anything you have for open related to COVID-19 connected to it?
Well, I wouldn't say anything I've got is actually connected to COVID-19.
Okay. Keisha? Okay. So mine is regarding the VA. And as a result of what we're doing with COVID-19, things have been pushed off. We do, however, need to, I passed out in one of our meetings last week, an agreement from Confluence, and it's a master planning agreement. Because of what's gone on with changes in processes, changes in timing, potential delays as a result of the crisis, of what we might do, we need to come to a decision on this agreement. Once the economy picks back up again, these folks are going to be inundated with requests because of what's happened. So as you can see in the markets this morning, we've got another big follow-through day. Hopefully that's a good sign. But if this is shorter rather than longer, there's the potential we could lose these folks from a VA master planning perspective. So they've sent us this agreement. It goes back to discussions we've had over the last several months regarding the VA, and that we wanted to do a master planning project. By way of just context, if this crisis continues beyond April, we are more than likely going to put any bond issues related to the VA on hold. We cannot, in good conscience, go forward with any kind of planning on the VA, similar to what we're doing with county government from a funding perspective. Next week, we will have the Prairie Ridge Urban Renewal Plan on our agenda. Is that correct, Jake?
That's correct. Yes.
We can go forward with the approval of that plan and still not commit to any funding yet. So that is a process question for next week, as much as it is it's not a funding question. This is a planning question, and I guess my question to the board is it better to go forward, do the master plan, commit the dollars related to the master plan now, and whether or not we ever pull the trigger on this near term or short term, we've got a plan, we've got the process started, we have these folks engaged, because as I said, if this is shorter rather than longer, we're probably going to lose these folks. And I love the relationship they have with Gardner. They're a critical piece to this from an engineering perspective. They provided us with a ton of documents on the VA. So it's a timing issue because of what's going on with the crisis. We've got to make some decisions about planning and committing some dollars to that plan. It falls below public bidding thresholds. So it's just a question for us of whether we want to go forward with them as the master planner. Doesn't mean they're doing any demolition, they're not doing any salvage, they're not doing any of those things. They're just creating a template for us to move forward with, along with collaboration from Knoxville and other interested parties. And that's all contained in the document. Thoughts?
Would they then, just work with Chris to be able to, they're coming up with the master plan, but getting the master plan done at that time, when we decide to move forward? Is that something that
Chris will coordinate with them from our perspective and report back to us on items we need to be involved in. But as you can see in the document, they're going to go to the community. They're going to form teams within Knoxville and the broader community to ensure this holistic view of the VA that we wanted. And we wanted this to be something that Knoxville had a key input on.
Okay.
And that's so they will be the vehicle, the facilitator of all those things and come up with that overall plan. I talked to Brian Hatch about this as mayor, and this is something we've all agreed on from just our small group back in the fall, that this would be of benefit.
Yeah, we've been talking about this.
Oh, yeah.
Since the get-go.
Yeah.
And now we're to the point where
We gotta make a decision.
how do we want to proceed?
Yeah.
How would have we got any feedback back from SHPO or anything on as to if was there any hiccups that would prevent us from moving forward with the master plan?
No, actually, they have been very cooperative in the collaboration on the RFP for the 2 historic buildings. We have Glenn Lyons, our consultant, working on that. Obviously, with COVID-19, that has put a little hitch in there because they had a couple of people who traveled. They were on 14-day self-quarantines. They could not get back to us. It's only been this week that people have started coming back online. But Glenn is working on the RFP. We should be able to get that 60-day clock started here in the next week. We might wait. Again, this is COVID-19 stuff. I don't know that we want to pump it out while we're in crisis mode. We might want to wait on that RFP until things calm down so people can say we gave everybody a full and fair shot at the RFP.
Mm-hmm.
So Glenn's working with SHPO on that right now. They're in good communication. I get emails on it on a regular basis. So that is moving forward, Steve.
Okay.
As is the archaeology.
In section A of this agreement, sentence 7, I guess, for lack of a better, it said if the project is suspended for more than 3 months, is that the project being what
This project. If we get to a point down the road where we say we want to hold, and it could be because of disagreement among the community parties, it could be change in direction from us. If we make them wait for a 3-month period, they're going to go to a different project.
Okay, but then if we agree to this contract, basically then we will only be responsible for any fees up to that point.
Up to that point.
Okay,
That is correct.
okay.
Chris, how long would it take them to do this?
Said 6 to 7 months?
Yep, it's 6-7 month deal.
Yeah, you're taking into consideration, we have to unearth, and Gardner and I have been working a little bit together, just back and forth, no money exchanged, work together, to come up with the old engineering prints for like sanitary sewer, the storm sewer situation out there, all that stuff we have to identify. There's some issues trying to figure out if in the 80s and then again in the mid-90s that some of that work was actually completed, because that whole setup was supposed to have a brand new storm and sanitary sewer. What we're figuring out is about half the work was done, which means the current prints that were actually submitted to the federal government aren't accurate because they never finished the project. So there's a lot of things in that 6 to 7 month time frame that we've got to identify. So if and when we decide to move forward with this project in 21, we have all that work out of the way. So there is about that 6 to 7 months, I believe, is a fairly accurate assessment of what it would take to get the basic engineering diagrams done, to phase this out as we originally had talked. Let's figure out phases by year to do this project from a budget perspective. I believe that 6 to 7 months is very accurate.
Well, I for one, would like to proceed with this, because obviously, I know of no one sitting at this table or in the city that has the expertise to put something like this together, or the time.
Correct.
And it's unfortunate we had what we have, but we've got this ball rolling, it's in motion, so we need to do something. I like the idea of getting the master plan, which we all agreed upon from the get-go, city and us. I like the understanding that the master plan is just that, a master plan. We don't have to commit any funds for construction or demolition at this time.
Yeah.
Because exactly, going back to what you said, it would not be fair to the taxpayer at this point in time until we recover.
Yep.
That's my opinion.
No, I appreciate that, Steve. There's another corollary benefit to this. Now with the crisis, I am getting probably 3 calls a day from contractors who have had projects canceled, who now want to do work on the VA. I'm sure Chris is getting those same calls. If we do this, it will quell that, because we'll be able to announce we have somebody doing a plan. Not digging, not construction, not deconstruction, nothing. And that'll push that off a little bit, because people will see, hey, we're working on an overall plan for the VA. We're not gonna do this in a one-off deal. I talked to Knoxville Economic Development. They wanted to get 2 of the doctors' houses. After having a good discussion, it was a good, fair discussion with them. We're not gonna do anything with them because they want clear title and they don't wanna pay for it. Or they wanna pay minimally. They don't have deep pockets, that's fair. But that doesn't work for us. So we're gonna get those. This will help kind of put that aside and say we are moving forward with the original plan that we talked about way back in the fall.
Chris, my question would be, if we delayed this a week, and we put this at our next meeting, how's that going to affect? I just wanna make sure that the public is fully aware. If they were wanting to,
Well, why wouldn't they be fully aware now? We said we were gonna do this in the fall.
right, but not having it necessarily on an agenda.
You wanna delay it a week?
I mean, I'm asking that since, Ed, I'll ask for your, is that, since we didn't have it on an agenda? Can't hear you.
Unfortunately, I'm only getting, this morning, for whatever reason, about 30% of what you folks are saying. I'm assuming you had a discussion, Jeff, it has nothing to do with video quality, other than when Steve was talking, totally froze. Keisha, I think your question was putting it on an agenda down the road.
Well, no, I asked Chris if we did delay it until next week, because we did not have it on an actual, I thought it was coming out on an agenda. I really did. I thought it was,
We talked about it last week.
we did, but it didn't come out on a,
We said we were gonna talk about it today, but that's all right.
no, we
If
did
we
do
wanna
that, Mark.
if we wanna
That's-
delay it to the 14th, we can.
But I
This is
thought
awesome.
it was my understanding that it was going out on an agenda.
Guys, the reality is, let's take a step back. We don't have to delay it. Keisha, based on your concerns,
Yeah.
we don't have to delay it a week. You can simply put it on, have Jake send it out, and we do it Thursday morning. Or tomorrow afternoon, if that's what you so desire.
Right.
So don't assume you have to put it on your next regularly scheduled meeting. You have scheduled meetings. At this point, it can just be added for Thursday morning.
Right, I thought it was going to be on an agenda. That's the way I took that.
Well, let's just
week.
do it. The next.
Did you see what we were talking about, Jake?
Yes, and we talked about, talking about it on Tuesday or Wednesday of this week, so I thought the discussion this morning was gonna be to either do it or direct it. I can put it on for tomorrow, however you want, but yeah, you were gonna talk about it today or
Just
tomorrow.
put it on for Thursday, Jake,
Okay,
okay?
put it on, I'll put out it'll be basically the same one, just saying amended for this action
Right.
for Thursday of this week.
Just
Does
do
that work?
Just tell the folks at Confluence we're considering it on Thursday,
Sure,
okay?
I'll let them know.
I just would much rather to be transparent than not be, to me, in my
Yeah,
eyes.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't care.
okay with that.
All right,
To that point,
I mean, I've looked at their work, it's good work. I don't have a, cause I brought them up this morning, I mean, I saw what their campus styles and what they've done.
Yeah, they're one of the top landscape architects in the country, and the mere fact that they're willing to take this on for the price they are is
Yeah,
pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I honestly, that is not my, I
No,
don't know
yeah.
anything about them, so I
At
was
the end of
just
the
like,
day, guys, I work for you. You guys make the decisions, I carry it out. So if you wanna put it off till Thursday, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
You know?
we'll put it on for Thursday, so
We
we'll
don't
talk
mind.
about it then.
okay,
So, is there a motion to close discussion?
well, to that point, to the V's, a little more VA information, Chris and the crew are probably going to begin building that ramp, handicap ramp out at East Elementary tomorrow, but because of material delays, but in the process, in the meantime, Chris and I and the guys are gonna go out to the VA, try to figure out a way to more secure vehicle traffic, and it's almost an impossibility.
So let's close discussion on this item, Steve, and then we can talk about how to do that. 'Cause
Okay.
this was an open item, so.
Okay, yeah, this is a different thing, I get it.
I'll make motion to close discussion.
Second,
McCombs,
aye,
Ramey,
Aye,
Johnner,
Aye.
all right,
okay, back to what I was saying, we're gonna go out there and try to figure out a economical, simple way to try to limit the vehicular traffic, because, I'm getting some concerned about suspicious vehicles behind there, and I don't know how we're gonna do it. Chris and I talked about it this morning. I mean, we're gonna go out there and look at it, and obviously we can't limit foot traffic very easily, but we can do something, I think, to limit the vehicle traffic to people that are actually paying attention, for lack of a better term. A gate only keeps honest people out, so we're gonna look at that.
Good.
Just a quick question for the enforcement side of it, did it kind of change? I know, Mark, when we originally, that one day you were having a ton of problems out there, and I went out there and there was like 4 cars parked and they were all walking their dogs. And so then it kind of switched around to, we were gonna allow people to walk, and walk their dogs or different things, but not be by the buildings or in the buildings type of a deal. With the governor's, press conference yesterday and now parks and everything else, is it your guys' opinion still that people are still allowed to walk dogs and do things, or what are your guys' thoughts?
it would follow the same line as parks.
So they
Because,
shouldn't be in there.
because we can't control the crowds. And. What's
So are you
that?
talking parks, or are you talking like state parks?
Our
The
park,
yurts?
county parks. Steve has shut down the county parks for right now to see what the state's doing. Now, he's meeting with the conservation board, I think, this week to have a further discussion on that and see how they want to continue, and then they're gonna bring a recommendation to us. But I would think, the school has closed the track. Can't go walking on the track now, so we need to have the same issue. Maybe we need to put out a release.
That's what I'm wondering, I guess that was to my question is, if it's changed kinda before on how, with the dog walking or different things, it probably wouldn't hurt for you guys to put out a press release on it, and that way, because the people, even the day when I were there, they were good people. They just didn't know that they couldn't be there, it wasn't something where they were trying to do something wrong. So,
We've got more windows broke out.
I said the vandalism has went up,
Yeah.
I'd say 70-80% since this whole thing started.
Then let's, I mean, I guess if you guys my suggestion would be as board supervisor, if you put something out on that, especially, and you can reference back to the
Yeah.
governor's thing yesterday, that way, I mean,
Again, that's only gonna keep the honest people out.
no, I know, but what it does is it allows our deputies now, when they drive by, and if they see somebody that's
He may
walking.
give you a little enforcement.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you
what I'm
gotta-
saying,
you
it
gotta
gives
tool
them
it.
now, nobody's supposed to be there versus is it the person with their 3-pound chihuahua or whatever, I mean, so it kinda helps on,
Yeah, we can even say it, so let's put Jamie on this afternoon for a press release that says something about due to increased vandalism and the governor's orders about from COVID-19, we are closing the VA to public traffic, something like that.
And Mark, I would just add, when we get through this crisis and you guys go ahead with whatever you're gonna do there, we have now what I would classify as an attractive nuisance. We have now actual knowledge of teenagers going in there, using that as an area of buildings to party in. I think we probably need to take a more proactive approach to securing that space.
Okay.
I don't know what that looks like.
That's an impossibility.
Okay, Ed, that'll all come out of your budget.
I'm not,
It's a great suggestion, thank you for volunteering that,
I'm not
I
sure,
appreciate
I'm
it.
not sure how to do it either, Ed. How would we?
No, I'm joking. We have to do something because as the summer months wear on, with the races, if the races do come back into play, my biggest concern is at night, behind those buildings where we can't see.
well, that's what I was just going to suggest, and it is an expense. But if it is a long-term investment, which we all believe it is for us or the city, it may be worthwhile to, kind of investigate cameras. I mean, in regards to that side, it's not a huge expense, but it would be a little bit more,
There's no electricity.
It's not even hooked to city grid. It used to have its own power plant.
right, but even on, for $300, I mean, you can get a trail cam that'll send you text pictures or whatever, I mean, of.
We can get something out there, Jason.
Yeah,
think
I would
that-
just say, it's not gonna catch everything,
No,
but
But
at
it'd be
least if you got a
something.
car, yeah, if you got somebody walking or a car.
Yeah, we
carried
could
by.
get, I don't know, 10, 15,
could-
20 trail cans, because
Espe-
there's so many dead spaces out there.
especially behind those
I don't
buildings.
disagree, yeah.
Chris and I have walked back through there and we're even going to mow back there. I mean, in terms of keeping the weeds knocked down, because we don't want that grass growing up there and obscuring visibility. So, something
Maybe
like
Chris
that.
and I can kinda talk about, there's a Cuddy Link system,
Yeah,
that would be a very
Yeah.
good system
Absolutely.
for that.
I'd be happy to sit down, because we can get some stuff ordered up and get them put in place.
Yeah, I think it would help you, I mean, on the overall side, I mean, even 10 years down the road, as
Yep.
long as, I mean,
Yeah.
the technology or different things are
oh,
there,
it's
so.
very different. So, no, it's a good idea, Jason. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
For sure. Just
Okay.
having some record of what's going on.
So take a look at it, Steve, and see what you can do, and I don't know, I think it's gonna be problematic.
The only other option we have is, so the first 40 west, so where the old sewage treatment plant was.
Yeah.
So next to building 74 where the bunker's at, that area is already fenced. We're fenced along Young's Park. We're fenced on the east side. You could, realistically, to keep some nuisance traffic out, would be to chain link from just the frontage of West Pleasant and connect that subdivision that's on the north side of West Pleasant, that kind of kitty corners in there, down to the first west fence. It's,
We'll take a look at that when we go out.
yeah,
there,
it's
Chris.
something we can measure out. It's an option that I could price.
Yeah.
And then that would effectively cut out all traffic. The only issue that would give, and it's not really even an issue, is when we go out to take a look at things, or first responders go out to take a look at things, it'd be a single gated access that we would all have access to. But that would effectively cut down a lot of that traffic.
You know, that may be cheaper than looking at all those separate gates we were talking
Yes.
about and everything else.
Combination of a fence and cameras, well, then we can at least put a face
And
and
more-
hopefully
and
a
it would
name
be-
to that face.
It would probably be more secure too,
Tyler-
to Ed's point.
And Tyler might even already have some barricades laying around too, I mean, I don't know, just on with the county road side of things, I don't know if chains, but I don't know what area you're talking about, but that, just keep that in mind, that Tyler might have some old stuff that, hey, it's not that far from where his shop is, up there to drop some concrete barriers, and then like you
Yeah,
said,
but-
have one or two gates, I mean.
But if you, that same questions we had this morning, we put a gate there, well, they're gonna drive around, or they're gonna drive through the yard. The fence is probably the most secure that we could possibly be. And then limit the access to one point.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, I think,
Sure.
you're talking about the Jersey barricade, but we already got gates up there that are driving around.
Oh, okay,
You know,
I got you.
All right, good.
we'll take a look at that and see what, that doesn't make sense. It's gonna be an expense, but so are the other things,
Well, yeah,
but
But
it'll
it's-
be a more secure.
that's what
way
we
to
have
do
to
it.
think about, make it more secure. We're gonna have, this is a long-term deal,
Yeah, it's gonna be long-term.
so. Okay,
As a matter of fact, that's probably not a bad idea, even if and when the demo takes place, you can secure it.
I think that's a good idea. Different, same subject, different topic. Did you get hold of the Pioneer Cemetery group?
They actually got a hold of me
Okay.
about 15 minutes after you informed me.
Oh, all right, well, good.
So they will be taking care of that plot that's back there.
Okay,
They'll do a couple passes around it. Been in contact with the gentleman who's been haying it. So he's supposed to shoot me a price on what he has been giving for it. And then we'll take a look at it, so,
okay, good.
but then we'll get that taken care of. The guys and I will be mowing effectively about our addition, about 27 to 30 acres is what we'll be mowing. And that'll be about every 10 days is our intention, 10, maybe 15, maybe every 2 weeks. I mean, it's gonna be legitimately enough to keep the weeds down, and knock the grass back down. We're not gonna rake it, we're not worried about bagging it, it's gonna be clumpy, it's gonna look ugly. But at the end of the day, we're gonna keep visibility and not let it completely overgrow itself.
Right.
So,
So, from the public standpoint, when the emails come, and they will invariably come, and the Facebook comments will come, that it doesn't look pretty, you gotta respect, how much do you wanna spend as a taxpayer on keeping a dead campus pretty? Cause to get it, some of the quotes that Chris got, it would be like $50,000 to mow that thing and keep it pretty, so we're not gonna do that.
I'm thinking in some of those out of the sight places, have we just spraying it?
I thought about spraying the entire back. The issue with that is the amount of chemicals we'd have to use to control the invasive weed species that would come up where the grass used to be. Now becomes, I still have a commercial pesticide license, but that means myself or the road department has to do it.
What, just, I mean, I know this isn't my lane, but I mean, just trying to think through it here. Is any of that, if you let it go up, is any of it worth paying?
We're already
I mean,
doing
no, but
that.
can you increase the amount that you're haying?
No,
I mean, in the fact that let somebody come in,
no.
seed it, do
Too
whatever.
many obstacles.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
we can't from a historic preservation standpoint.
They can't hay.
We can only hay on those other two fields.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
we can't hay on the VA where the campus is. No.
Until the archaeological's done?
Exactly,
That makes sense.
I didn't know that. Okay,
Yeah.
so,
Makes sense.
because we might disturb something.
but I just thought if you could, that may be a moneymaker versus a money loser.
That's a great comment, but yeah, we had this discussion months ago at the state, and they said, well, you could disturb something like a Tyrannosaurus Rex bone or
I
Oh
got you.
dear goodness.
Tonto.
a Tonto, yes, sitting bull meant there. Yeah. So, all right. Steve, anything else on that?
No.
All right, very good, thank you, thanks for doing that, appreciate it. Any other items for open?
No.
Steve, nothing, all right. Do we have any closed session items? Before we go through the ordeal of opening and closing and closing and opening.
I don't have any.
Okay, I don't have any either. So with that,
Really?
what?
Really?
Really? Really?
Yes.
That's okay, I don't want to see you either. With that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
McCombs,
Aye?
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner,
Aye.
Very good. We are adjourned. Thank you, folks. Thanks, Jay.